Welcome everybody to the CPUX webinar from UXQB and iSQI. Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to do a short introduction. We have Tomas, the president of the International Usability and User Experience Qualification Board, and Marcel Schwarzmeier, it's me, product manager and partner manager from the iSQI. I will start to give you some general information about iSQI, who is the international qualification body of UXQB. Afterwards, I will hand over to Tomas, who will give you interesting insights into the CPUX portfolio. Please feel free to ask questions by using the chat or question function. We will be happy to answer your question after the presentation. For those who haven't been in contact with the iSQI before, I will give you some facts and details. iSQI has been founded in 2004 in Germany, Potsdam. Here is also the headquarters located. And now we have 3 more subsidiaries in the Netherlands, in the US and the UK. Until today we conducted over 120,000 exams in 6 continents, 19 countries, 90 countries and in 10 languages. We are working together with over 300 invigilators who are conducting exams. Here you see our product portfolio, which contains certifications in many different areas. We started in 2004 with software testing, and now we offer certification in requirement engineering, mobile app testing, software product management, and usability. As usability is a very important topic and the demand for certification in this area is growing constantly, we will give you some insights in this certification today. I would like to explain the cooperation model between UXQB certification bodies and the training providers. The cooperation is based on the certification process, the ISO IEC 17024, which devises the responsibilities of each party strictly. UXQB published and maintains the curriculum, the glossary, and the certification procedure for the CPUX foundation level and advanced levels. The certification test is conducted by iSQI, and it's an independent certification. UXQB does not conduct the trainings. International training providers develop the training and the material conducted to the trainings based on the syllabus. And now I'd like to hand over to Tomas, our specialist today.
Thank you very much, Marcel. Just a few words about myself. My name is Tomas. I'm co-founder and president of the International Usability and User Experience Qualification Board, the UXQB. I've been working in the field of usability testing and usability engineering for almost 25 years, and during that time I engaged in writing ISO standards in the field of usability and user experience, which actually 25 years ago felt like it was an impossible thing to aim at. However, having said that, plenty of guidelines and terms and concepts are standardized these days, so there is a common language in industry when it comes to usability and user experience, and everybody basically is then able to understand each other within companies and across companies. I myself have edited a few ISO standards for usability. Editing always means that you are the slave of a committee of international experts who all debate what's right and wrong, and you are the person who puts things to paper as soon as they are consensus. I was also awarded by the German UPA in 2013 with the so-called Usability Achievement Award for the work I've mainly done in the field of context of use analysis and user requirements specification over the years. Okay, now what is this all about? A bit of his history about the UXQB. In 2007, within the German UPA, there was a working group founded to investigate quality standards for usability professionals to be applied by those who want to do professional work and want to produce deliverables as part of the product development process in a professional manner. And in 2010, actually, German UPA released a role model for usability professionals where we basically gave names to those roles that we find relating to usability within development projects, example, information architect versus usability tester, and we defined the responsibilities and deliverables of those roles. And also within German UPA we published a document called the German UPA Quality Standard for Usability Engineering. Now, over the years there was more and more discussion on how people who actually work in the field of usability and user experience can show that they have a agreed upon minimum knowledge in the field of usability engineering, and this way the decision was taken to launch a certification program called the Certified Professional for Usability and User Experience. And in the beginning we started with a so-called foundation level. The acronym for this certification is CPUX, Certified Professional for Usability and User Experience, dash, and then you have the FL or AL. We will have a look into this a bit later. So in 2013, German UPA decided that it does make sense to offer certification to professionals, and in order to internationalize this scheme, the decision was made to actually form a board that would be independent of the German UPA and would be capable to operate on an international scale. And this is how the UXQB was born in 2013. In 2014, we launched, or when I say we, I now talk about the UXQB. The UXQB launched the first advanced level certification within usability and user experience, and that was the usability testing advanced level. And in 2016, we managed, early this year, actually in February, we managed to conduct a pilot training and a pilot examination for the advanced level user requirements engineering, which is now called CPUX UR. Okay, that's as much as I want to say about the history. For all those who are not exactly familiar with the terms usability and user experience, everybody uses those words, but if you look into the definitions of the terms, they might actually turn out to be slightly different to how people use them in daily business. Let's look at usability first. Usability. Usability is a standardized concept for already since 1998, which is now 18 years, I guess, and usability looks at people using what we call an interactive system. Interactive system is not necessarily software. In many cases it is software, but interactive system is actually the combination of software and hardware elements that allows inputs of users and gives feedback to users. Basically anything that beeps and flashes as soon as you touch it or talk to it, we would call an interactive system. And these are the ones that that can not only satisfy people during work, that can actually also keep people from work. So usability looks at how people actually use products, and it is assumed that if users manage to are effective with a product, which simply means they come to a precise and complete output as part of their work. Effectiveness just means you get your job done with the system. And on top of that, if people are efficient, which means there are no unnecessary steps, there is no lack of information that you need, that you experience while you are using the system, you can always direct yourself in the direction that is needed by the task. So if it's efficient to use the system, then this is the second factor that contributes to usability, and it is also assumed within the concept of usability that the use of the system has to be satisfactory. Satisfactory you could look at as the 0.0 of user experience. You could, if I was a bit sloppy with the definition of satisfaction, I would say it's the absence of dissatisfaction. So if people are effective with the system, they can get their job done. If they are efficient, which means they don't spend extra time and waste resources while using the system, and overall they are satisfied with what they experience, we would call this usability. Now, in recent years, another term made its way, which is called user experience. And user experience is another standardized concept in a standard called ISO 9241 Part 210. And user experience, in contrast to usability, simply assumes that people, before actually using a product, users already anticipate what it would be like to use this product, although they might have never used it. This is called anticipated use. Anticipated use. It's the imagination that users develop about a product that they consider to use. Interestingly, you could say that every person who is about to use a product or is about to purchase a product conducts a usability test in their mind, going through the situation, what would it be like once I have this system? This is what we call anticipated use. And actually the strategic component of this concept is that if the usability test that people conduct before buying a product, the anticipation of what it would be like to have that product, if this usability test fails, then there is no reason to buy a product. So therefore, user experience actually now has a strategic role in product development and product management. Companies like, the highly cited Apple in the United States, but on the other hand, there is a German company called Vorwerk, and they have come up with some kitchen equipment which appears to be marvelous from the perspective of those who are cooking dishes. But companies who really deep dive into user experience and actually build user experience into their products can show that even with less functionality, you are able to charge significantly more money if the functionality that you have implemented leads to high user experience. So user experience looks at what we call anticipated use. This is what people go through before having used the product or even having purchased it. It includes actual use, and that is what we always looked at as part of usability. And it looks into what we now call digested use, which is the responses that people have once they have used the product. So basically, one could say if the anticipated use is positive, and when using the product, the actual use confirms this anticipated use. So basically, promised value and actual value fit each other, then we can assume or even predict that people have a high user experience after they have used the product, which leads to spreading the product. Or if the user experience is negative, it might even lead to negative marketing from the community of those using the product. So user experience looks at three major phases of a experience life cycle that users of a interactive system go through. And Why do I tell you this? Well, this all can be engineered. This all can be engineered, and the idea of the certification program, Certified Professional for Usability and User Experience, is to enable professionals to engineer user experience into products. Okay. Now, what is the reality that we're looking at in industry? Well, users are often frustrated by interactive systems or interactive products and services. It is not commodity to have usability and user experience in software products and other interactive systems. And if we look at what is it that is lacking on the market, number one, we have an insufficient number of usability and user experience professionals who are trained in usability according to what I would call international standards. And number two, usability and user experience specialists are still consulted too late in the product design and development. Some in the conference might see some correspondence to their daily life. If you start off as a usability professional, often the situation that you are faced with is that a development team has produced something, it's almost ready to be shipped, and all of a sudden people think about usability and ask usability experts, hey, can you have a look at our product? Is there anything we need to change or we need to modify before we ship it, so it becomes an even greater success than we thought it would be anyway? However, often if you look at usability defects in products that are ready to ship, there is no way to really fix those defects, because often they require changes in the architecture, they often require fundamental changes in the product, and this is why user experience specialists should be consulted early in the product, in the development project, and not when it comes to a final usability test where everybody assumes, well, everything should be fine, although we never tested it before or we never did explicit usability activities before. A third interesting phenomenon is that you could say often new features that get into products are implemented without really looking at the user requirements that would be the basis for those new features. And it's very interesting to see from a usability professional's perspective that there are plenty of products on the market that basically at some stage were usable. They were basically done. There was no good reason to change anything, but because the next trade show is awaiting the company to show the latest developments, companies tend to implement new features without looking into what users really need and what was already good before. So that is a third big problem that we're seeing in the life cycle of interactive systems, that products over time get more and more functionality without looking into the real user requirements, and therefore user experience suffers, and the acceptance of products can decrease over time, and the expected market success, or maybe the past market success, is not continued. So these are the challenges that we are faced with when it comes to usability and user experience in the real life, and what is it we have to do about it? More usability, more user experience means more positive anticipated use, more reasons to buy products. So therefore the development and maintenance of a worldwide certification program for usability and user experience professionals was only a logical consequence, or is only a logical consequence looking at the given situation on the market. The idea is that we have a consistent quality standard that can be used internationally, in particular looking at companies that work on an international scale. A common knowledge and a common terminology within those companies is essential to come to consistent and usable products. Okay. Now, UXQB portfolio, what is it? Which certification offerings are there? We have the CPUX F, the foundation level, UXQB Certified Professional for Usability and User Experience foundation level, and this is the basis for being able to gather certifications on an advanced level. And if we look at the advanced level, there are 4 blocks up here, 4 certification offerings, where so far there are only 2 in place. The 2 that are in place are the User Requirements Engineering Professional, the Usability Testing Professional, and we also plan to have a professional for, you know, if you wanted to name it with one word, you would say design, but design is a loaded term. That's why we tried to say more precisely what it is about. The 3rd advanced level that we are planning to offer is on interaction specification, information architecture, and prototyping. These are the terms that are now being used within designing user interfaces from the user's perspective. And a 4th one that we are considering to have in the future is the User Experience Manager, the Professional for User Experience Management, CPUX-M. How does this all work? How do you get certified? In general, we assume that the first step that interested professionals should take is the foundation level. And if you ask yourself what are the prerequisites for the foundation level, well, in a formal way I should say there aren't any, but it is highly recommended to have basic knowledge in the area of usability, because this is an advantage to simply pass the examination. But it's not a prerequisite. If you are someone who's new in the field and you say, hey, I want to go through this, there's no reason not to do so. The foundation level, if we look at the examination, it's so far a paper-based examination that our certification bodies offer, or alternatively you are able to go to a so-called Pearson View Center. There are thousands of so-called Pearson View Centers on the globe, and probably whoever is on the line, they have a Pearson View Center not far from where they currently are located. The examination itself is a multiple choice test with with exactly 40 questions. I'll show you one example for such an exam question in a minute. The duration of the test is in general 75 minutes, 1 hour and 15 minutes. And people who are not native within the languages that we offer for the test get a 25% time extension. So, you know, if you are an English speaking person who works in Germany and you want to take this test in Germany, you could ask for a 25% time extension. So the iSQI, which is the certification body here, would give you 90 minutes for the test. The foundation level test is available in English, in French, and in German, and currently Spanish is in preparation. I should also say, that's something we have to put on here for next time. We actually started to also translate the scheme into Russian, because there was a demand, or there is a demand from Russia already. So this is the foundation level. It's a pure multiple choice test, 40 questions. And once you have passed this, we have the advanced level User Requirements Engineering. And User Requirements Engineering, the examination consists of a theoretical test plus a practical test. So here it's not just a test of knowledge. You know, on the foundation level, we actually just test knowledge. We ask for knowledge, and on the advanced levels we ask for knowledge and skills. So there's always a theoretical test plus a practical test. What does that mean with regards to user requirements engineering? Well, there is a multiple choice test. There is a theoretical test where we have multiple choice questions and also open questions. This is a mixture of questions where you either tick the right answers or you got to give some text to the questions. The theoretical test for user requirements engineering takes 90 minutes, and it is followed by a practical test where participants or applicants are asked to conduct a so-called context of use analysis, which practically means participants for the practical test get shown a video where a user requirements engineer interviews a user about his what we call context of use. Context of use is the tasks that people do as part of their work, it's the resources they use while they are doing their tasks, and it's the environment that they are in while they are conducting their tasks. And environment includes the social environment, the people that you work with, and the physical environment, the room or the outside world that you are in when you conduct your task. And participants are being shown a video where such an interview about the context of use takes place, and the participants are then asked to derive user requirements based on the context of use information that they have been given as part of this video. And for this practical test, participants have 7 hours of time to do the analysis. Basically, you end up with a list of user requirements that you structure according to the tasks that need to be supported by the system. And this is how the test, the certification test for the user requirements engineering advanced level is designed. Our second advanced level is the usability testing and evaluation professional, and the exam type here is also a theoretical test plus a practical test. We here decided that the theoretical test is now only a multiple choice questions test. It used to be a test based on multiple choice and open questions, but we have quite a bit of demand in these advanced levels already, so we were considering how to stay capable of internationally conduct those theoretical examinations. And for the usability testing and evaluation professional, we meanwhile decided to just use multiple choice questions as part of the theoretical test. Doesn't mean that it's simpler now than it was before. It's just a form that allows easier examination by the certification bodies. And the practical test for the usability testing professional includes a usability test. Applicants who want to gather the certificate usability testing professional are supposed to conduct a usability test, to plan, to prepare, conduct, and document a usability test with at least 3 participants. And we assume that the test is documented. The full test is being videotaped by those who conducted it. The test report has to be handed in, and this is then being assessed by an expert examiner. We assume that for the practical test for the usability tester that people have to invest approximately 3 days to complete the whole exercise, and this overall certification is currently available in English and German. So these are the answers that I want to give to the question, how do I get certified? In general, this is important for those who want to take the examination. In general, there is no requirement to conduct or to participate in a preparatory training by an accredited training provider, but of course it is recommended because the chance to pass the test significantly rises if you have taken a training, a preparatory training. However, it's not a requirement. If you are an experienced user requirements engineer or you are an experienced usability tester, you might well be able to pass the test without any training given by a accredited training provider. Okay. Exactly. And because we want to make sure that people are enabled to prepare themselves for an examination, and to have full transparency about the certification program, we have lots and lots of documents for our certification. For each of our certification products, we have a full curriculum available on our website. We have a full glossary of terms available. The certification procedure itself is described in detail, so people know exactly what they let themselves into when they go through a certification test. For each certification, we have a full set of public test questions that people can use for self-assessment to find out where they actually are and whether it makes sense to risk the test without a preliminary training. And for our training providers, we also have what we call a model course, which is in the end of every curriculum. You see a model course where we say this is what we recommend to organize your courses to successfully bring people through the certification. And whatever content we are teaching or we are having within our curriculum, it's all based on ISO standards. The major ISO standards that we base our curriculum and glossary on is ISO 9241 with its parts 11, 110 and 210. There's plenty of more parts, but this is what we currently use as central standards for our certification. And there's also another ISO standard. It's called the Common Industry Format for Usability. It's this standard down here, ISO IEC 25060. This is a standard series that gives requirements on the content of deliverables of usability engineering activities. So basically within ISO IEC 25060 you get the specification of what should be within a context of use description, what should be within a usability test report, what should be within a inspection report that a usability expert has produced. So these are this forms the basis for our curriculum and glossary. It's nothing that we made up ourselves. It's all based on international standards. Okay. All these documents you find on our website, the UXQB website, www.uxqb.org. If you go there to documents, you will find all the different documents in all the languages that we offer them in. What else do we have? Yes. Meanwhile, there is a standardized process model for usability engineering and you could say user experience engineering. It's the model that you see on this screen. Basically, it is assumed that if you want to come out with a usable product as part of your product development process, it is necessary to plan human-centered design activities during the process. And the core human-centered design activities are the analysis of the context of use, the specification of user requirements based on the context of use. We're not supposed to specify user requirements out of the blue. User requirements always come from the context of using the system. Then it is assumed that design solutions are produced based on those base data that we see here. And of course, it is always assumed that whatever design solution we are producing as part of our product development, that these design solutions are evaluated with users. And it's very natural if you evaluate with users that you find out there are things that are not the way they should be. And the earlier you evaluate with users, the earlier you have a chance to find out whether you have overlooked information in the context of use or whether you have to look for more information in the context of use. You will find out that there are user requirements that you have not identified and implemented as part of your product design. And one output of the evaluation is that you simply have created a design that is not suitable from the user's perspective. And in each of these boxes here, you see what we call UX deliverables, and these are the outputs of human-centered design that are part of our curriculum. You see things like scenarios, you see things like user needs and user requirements, you see things like low fidelity prototypes and high fidelity prototypes. This is all part of our curriculum in order to make sure that whatever project you are in and whatever has to be designed there, that by the end of the project, the product meets the user requirements. This is just examples of terms that we use in our curriculum. I just picked some because they are rather prominent lately. We have the term user need and the term user requirements. User needs are statements about what somebody has to have or has to know within their context in order to achieve their goals. It's things like statements: a presenter needs to know how much time is left in order to complete the presentation in time during a presentation with a fixed time limit. If you ask yourself what is the relevance of this with regards to usable designs and designs with high user experience, well, you know, let's imagine you would be the manufacturer of a presentation software, and based on this user need that we see here, you could derive a requirement that the user shall be able to see when using the presentation how much time is left in his current presentation. And there might be another user requirement that you derive based on what we've seen up there, which would say the user shall be able to see with the presentation program how many slides are left in his current presentation in order to finish the presentation in time. So it is a very prominent thinking that if you want to be complete and precise with your user requirements, that you first have to identify the so-called user needs. So we differentiate the terms user needs and user requirements in our curriculum. Another differentiation that we are making in our curriculum is that we differentiate between so-called as-is scenarios, which describe how people, let's say, live in their context up to now, and then we have the so-called use scenarios. I actually lately saw a wording for that called should-be scenarios, which I thought was quite interesting, because if we have as-is scenarios, there must be something that should be, unless the as-is fine. But anyway, the term that we are employing here in our curriculum is the term use scenario, which describes how a person would conduct their tasks once they have the interactive system that we are going to build in place. As-is scenario and use scenario. Very popular terms, very important to differentiate if you want to come to a product with high user experience. Another term that we are employing here is the term user experience. This term has also been standardized since, let me think, I think it's 1998 it was standardized the way it's written here. There was a need to standardize user interface because often people think that, you know, if you look at a washing machine, you think, well, you know, the user interface is these buttons and these LEDs that we see on top of the washing machine, but user interface is designed as all information and controls that a product offers in order to complete a task. And if we would look at these bottles here and we would ask ourselves which information is it that constitutes to the interface, we would say, well, the content of each bottle is part of the user is part of the information on the user interface, and there's more and more trouble to identify what is in a mineral water bottle, whether it is you know, with bubbles or without bubbles, or with lots of bubbles or with no bubbles, or with medium bubbles and whatnot. And so the information what is in the bottle is part of the user interface. Also the information how much is in the bottle, the level of fluid in such bottle is part of the user interface. And if we ask ourselves what are the controls on a user interface offered by a bottle, well, there's this thing up here which we would call, usability people would call it an open close control. We would just simply call it the lid of the bottle, but this is one control that the user needs, and another control is something that we only see in the middle here, which is a holder to bring up the bottle because you might want to empty it into a glass. And the outer bottles that we see here interestingly don't have those holders explicitly, and they could cause trouble to specific user groups, including children who also drink water. So user interface is another term that we have defined in the glossary, and as I just introduced the term to you, I would like to show you an example of a test question, an example of an exam question. And typically in the foundation level, or well, it's actually true for all levels, if you have a multiple choice question, the test always gives you 6 possible answers, and either one of these answers or 2 of these answers or 3 of these answers are correct. And on the foundation level, we actually tell people how many answers are correct. On the advanced level, you won't be told how many answers are correct. So here it says which 3 of the following components are part of the user interface of a car for a car driver: the accelerator, the license plate, the stick shift, the bumper, the tow bar, and the carburetor. 3 of the 6 are part of the user interface, and if you want to guess which one's right, just do it, and I'll show you which ones are. It's the following 3. The accelerator you do interact with as part of completing your task. The stick shift you interact with as part of completing the task, and the tow bar you interact with as part of completing a specific task, which is carrying something behind your car. The license plate, the car driver doesn't interact with. He doesn't need the license plate as part of his task of driving a car. The bumper, hopefully you never ever interact with. The carburetor, also hopefully you never ever interact with. These are not components of the user interface. If you ask yourself, what does the certificate look like for the Certified Professional for Usability and User Experience? We here have, as an example, the foundation level certificate. Well, this is a visual impression of what it looks like. You wouldn't have that sample only sign on here if it was yours. And the statement, the claim that this certificate makes for the certificate holder is that it says the certificate confirms that the certificate holder is familiar with the general terms and concepts in the field of usability and user experience, in particular in the following areas of competence. And these are usability principles and guidelines, understanding and specifying the context of use, specifying the user requirements, specifying the interaction between user and system, usability testing, usability inspections and user surveys, as well as process management and use of methods. So these are the areas of competence that the certificate holder is familiar with the general terms and concepts within each of them. This is the statement we're making. Where are we currently with our certification offerings? The user requirements engineering professional has been launched, and it's now possible to take the examination since the 3rd quarter of 2016. The usability testing and evaluation professional has been launched already in 2014. The plan for the professional in interaction specification, information architecture and prototyping is to have it ready by the end of 2017. This is a forecast. We cannot promise it. Please, all of you, bear in mind that the working for the UXQB is voluntary work. UXQB does not employ professionals. It's based on volunteers' work to bring up those curricula and maintain them for the future. So the the fourth advanced level that we are considering is the professional for user experience management. There are more and more people employed in industry who are really doing nothing but running the human-centered design process in the company, and this we are currently aiming at to be ready by the end of 2018. This is mainly information about the content of the scheme so far, and I lastly want to say a bit about the internationalization of the CPUX scheme. The UXQB relies on professional organizations across countries that are the ones who progress and promote usability and user experience in their countries. So far, the UXQB consists of 5 member organizations, which are the German UPA, the British UPA, the Swiss UPA, and UX Denmark, which is the professional organization in Denmark promoting usability and user experience, and UX Pro in Austria, which is the Austrian Association for Usability and User Experience. The UXQB is welcoming more national, what we call national member organizations to join the UXQB. The big advantage is that those organizations that are member organizations of the UXQB are actively influencing the content of the curricula, since every national member organization is supposed to deliver 2 experts that actively participate in producing and maintaining curricula for the certification offerings. So far we are having more than 1,500 certified usability professionals, or certified professionals, sorry, for usability and user experience. And if we look at the majority of people who are certificate holders, we see them in the countries here on this European map. It's Germany, it's Switzerland, it's Austria, it's Denmark, it's the Netherlands, and it's the UK. Having said that, we already have certificate holders from the United States, from China, from Romania, from Norway. So there's more and more international participation in getting certified. I think this is as much as I wanted to say today. It's now it's 12:15, so there is a bit of time left for questions. I would hand over to Marcel again. Marcel, are there any questions?
I will have a look. Thank you, Thomas, for the very nice done and interesting presentation. So far, I don't see any questions in the question.
Okay.
So please feel free to ask your questions. Otherwise, you can always contact us directly in the emails you see here if you don't want to ask the question already now. There's one popping up.
Mm-hmm.
One moment.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. There's one question. Hi, I live in Portugal and I had the opportunity to work with research and usability in a software company. And What was the question? It's not a design.
There might be a bit of a delay, but you know, if you just want to type your question again, we hopefully can answer it.
I'm not a designer in this area. What base information I have?
What base information I have? Now, on the UXQB website, there is the full curriculum and glossary of terms that you could use as a first, let's say, piece of literature to get your head into this. Sure, there is literature. We don't recommend particular literature as the UXQB, since we are an independent association. But I would recommend to really download the curriculum for the certified professional for usability and user experience to get more clarity about the content of the certification. This is my recommendation here.
I hope this answers the question. Otherwise, you can write again. There's no other questions so far.
Okay. Remember that you can always contact us, as Marcel already said. Our email addresses are here, and if there are questions that might come up in the next hour or something, don't hesitate to send us an email. We are rather reliable in replying, aren't we, Marcel?
Yes. Good. No more questions.
Thank you very much.
Then thank you very much, Thomas. Thank everybody to joining us today, and
thanks a lot.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.